Okay, so this is a 2018 KTM 350 EXC-f. This bike I've had for 3 years now. Got it in the summer of 2018. I guess I'll just start with, I'm planning on selling this bike. Not because of anything the bike did wrong. The bike's actually great. I've kind of, over the years, figured out what I like to ride and how I like to ride. And I started off with a Suzuki DRZ 400, and then found myself really only riding single track, and realized quickly that I wanted more of a dirt bike. That's where this came into play. And I still wanted a plated bike because where I was living at the time, I needed to still get out to the trails. I was close enough to the trails where trucking the bike wasn't absolutely necessary, so having a plate was really nice. I've moved since then, and everywhere I go, it's either right next to my house, so I don't even need a plate, or it's far enough away that I am gonna truck the bike anyway. So the plate is really unnecessary for me anymore. I've even taken off the plate because I was practicing pivot turns and I was looping out so much that I just kept breaking off the tail light and blinker system. I really can't complain about too much with this bike, other than the fact that it is a little bit heavier and feels heavier and bigger than a lot of the two-strokes out there. Kind of what I'm getting at, which is I'm gonna be switching to KTM XCW and TPI. This bike, it's a full-size dirt bike, and it has that four-stroke grunt and the four-stroke weight feeling to it with such a large piston moving up and down. It feels heavy when you're riding it. Compared to the DRZ, compared to other bikes, this thing is super lightweight, super nimble. It's great. But having just stood on a 300, you can immediately feel how much more of a compact bike that is. And knowing that a two-stroke cylinder is so much smaller, there's going to be a lot less centrifugal force in that motor. So when you're riding fast, you're not really going to be feeling the weight of the engine and the weight of the bike. So yeah, this bike has been great. I've had 3 fun years with it, and it still kicks ass. There's no reason to dislike this bike. So one of the things I'm going to address right now about this bike are the maintenance intervals. On the forums online, you know, people who are riding different bikes, especially like the DRZ, if you're coming from something like that, where you're on like a full dual sport. Yeah, like the maintenance intervals are going to be certainly a little sooner than you would have with a bike like the DRZ. People complain about that a lot. What you're getting when you are switching to a bike like this, when you're trading in that long maintenance interval, is just so much more fun. This bike will blow any dual sport out there out of the water. I mean, yes, your maintenance intervals are going to be sooner than a DRZ, but it's so worth it. This bike is so much lighter, so much quicker, so much more fun to ride than a bike like the DRZ, that the maintenance intervals are just something you won't even think about. And honestly, like, it's fun to get into the bike. It's fun to check your valves. Like, you kind of make a little ritual out of it, and you crack a beer and turn on some music and get stoked about learning about your bike. Oil changes, I don't do them. I mean, I was taking care of my DRZ, so I was doing oil changes as often as I was doing it with this bike. And I think that, you know, yes, the oil is a little bit more expensive, but if you're buying a bike like this anyway, I mean, that's not really your concern. Like, the price is not really what you're going to be hung up about. So I think that if you're thinking about going from something like a DRZ 400 or a DR 650 or a KLR or anything that's like in the dual sport class, but you kind of want to ride more trails, I mean, this bike is awesome. This is not a commuter bike. You will not want to commute on this bike unless it's a short commute. You don't want to ruin your tires on the road with it. I mean, here and there, like getting to the trails, it's totally fine. But this bike isn't geared for the road. It's not geared, it's not built for the road at all. This bike is a trail bike. And it feels like a trail bike. It's great. Again, honest, like, super great bike. I've just kind of shifted into a different style of riding, where I just really only ride trails and I don't need a plate. And the less weight I have on a bike, the more fun I have. And that being said, you know, when I was buying this bike, the 300 TPI was still kind of working out its kinks, and I didn't know much, and I was still kind of learning about how to ride even. So now that there's been a few years of the TPI under KTM's belt, and they've kind of refined that bike, for me, that's the way to go. I'm just, you can ride it like a 4-stroke, and it has that low end grunt, and you're able to kind of power up things in the low end, and you don't have to be on the pipe all the time with the TPI. Which is a big reason a lot of people go with the 4-stroke anyways, so that they can be in the lower end of their gear and grunting up stuff and not really worrying about it, and still keeping their power. And I think that's where the new TPIs are kind of shining right now, is they're capable of doing that still. I think if you're interested in this bike, you're probably teetering the line of, wanting just a full out dirt bike or something that's street legal. And this is the best of both worlds. This is what you can get right now that will let you do everything you want to do legally. Another thing that people complain about with KTM, and again, this isn't from people who have ever ridden a KTM, because if you've ever ridden a KTM or a high performance bike like this, then you aren't complaining about this stuff. But the people who kind of subscribe to the whole dual sport world, a big complaint is durability, and that's all bogus too. I mean, this bike, I put this thing through so much shit, and there's absolutely no way that the DRZ is any stronger than this bike. I mean, honestly, like this has been through so much compared to the DRZ. I've raced it. It's been up everything. It's run into everything, and the only thing I've ever had to replace are plastics, which honestly I haven't even done. I bought plastics, but I haven't even put them on yet because this is still holding on. There's some like cracks here, and I kind of hit my headlight on a tree, and there's some bark in the headlight, but outside of that, I mean, the bike itself has just been, the frame is good, the swing arm's good, everything's super solid, and even though it's lightweight, I mean, this bike is pretty bomb-proof and comparable to a dual sport of its class. So if you're on the fence, and you're looking at one of these, just ask yourself, what is it that you want out of your bike? Are you buying one of these because you are going to be riding it on the street and you need the plate? Then it's the perfect bike for you. Again, you can't go wrong with this bike. You will be stoked on this dirt bike. It's so much fun. I'm really excited to hop on to a 2-stroke and feel that weight difference and the more nimbleness, the size down bike. I mean, if you're at the dealership, stand on this bike and then go stand on the 300, and you will notice one feels a little more compact than the other, and it's gonna be something that you're gonna be curious about. That being said, again, this is a solid bike. The 2021, 2022 bikes that are coming out, they're probably even better than this one was. And I think that you wouldn't go wrong with it. You will have the time of your life with this bike. I did. It made me such a better rider. And I'm thinking of it as almost like a baseball hitter has a weight on his bat, and this was that weight. I mean, I'm so excited to get onto a 2-stroke. It's gonna be a nice change of pace, I think, as far as the weight goes, and the overall ergonomics of the bike. But again, I mean, this thing has shown me some great times, as you've been watching, as the B-roll flies from all the videos we've made over the years. So like I said, I'm probably gonna ride this, I don't know, a couple more weeks, a couple more months maybe. I'm lined up for a 300. I'm on the wait list now for a 2022, so it's happening. But I am gonna ride the shit out of this thing for a little bit longer, because I do love this bike, and really I have no real complaints about it. It can do everything. This bike is fully capable. It's really a great bike. I'm moving on to different things now. So if you got any questions, let me know. And otherwise, just follow along, and we'll be making more videos once we pick up some 300s, and we'll show you those once we get them. Thanks for watching.